What if I told you that hitting the incredible milestone of 100 years old and not just surviving but thriving might be far simpler than you've ever imagined? Forget the complicated, expensive, and often confusing health advice out there. We're about to dive into the life of a man who didn't just preach longevity, he lived it. Japan's oldest practicing doctor continued to see patients well past his 100th birthday, full of energy and sharp as a tack. And his secret? It wasn't a cabinet full of pills or a ridiculously strict diet that no mere mortal could follow. Instead, he embraced a beautifully simple, nourishing approach to life, one that he generously shared before he passed. I've personally started weaving these very principles into my own daily routine, and the difference is noticeable. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have the exact actionable steps to start transforming your own health today. And as a special bonus, I'll be sharing my personal morning recipe designed to supercharge the very benefits we're about to explore. You won't want to miss this. Let's put things into perspective. Here in the US, the average life expectancy hovers around 76 years, but journey across the globe to Okinawa, Japan, and that number jumps significantly closer to an impressive 84. And it's not just a few extra years. Many Okinawans live well into their 90s and even past 100, not just existing, but truly living. Picture this: vibrant seniors walking with purpose, tending to their gardens with joy, cooking delicious, wholesome meals, and genuinely savoring every day. They are the living embodiment of thriving in later years. So, what's their magic formula? Is it some exclusive, high-tech treatment or an impossibly complex daily regimen? Not at all. The Okinawan secret, much like the wisdom of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who practiced medicine until he was 100 and lived to the ripe age of 105, boils down to consistent, mindful daily choices. It's about how they nourish their bodies and how they approach life itself, with simplicity, light meals, steady routines, and a profound appreciation for the joy found in everyday moments. Today, we're going to unpack 5 core habits championed by Dr. Hinohara, habits that could revolutionize your digestion, skyrocket your energy levels, and sharpen your mental clarity, especially as you navigate life after 60. Our journey into these life-enhancing habits begins with a principle that's surprisingly powerful, yet often overlooked in our modern, supersized world: avoiding overeating. In many Western cultures, we've been conditioned to equate a stuffed feeling with a good meal. Clean your plate, get your money's worth. But in Okinawa, they embrace a wonderfully wise concept called hara hachibu. This ancient practice simply means eating until you're about 80% full and then gently stopping. Why is this small adjustment so incredibly beneficial? Well, by eating just a little less, you give your entire system a much-needed break. It significantly reduces the strain on your digestive organs, helps to naturally lower inflammation throughout your body, and can be a game changer for maintaining a healthy weight without ever having to resort to restrictive, joy-sucking diets. In fact, esteemed institutions like the National Institute on Aging have linked this very kind of gentle calorie reduction to a longer, healthier lifespan. Himself was a staunch believer in this rule, consistently eating lightly, chewing his food slowly and thoughtfully, and always finishing his meals before that feeling of being uncomfortably stuffed set in. He firmly credited this mindful approach with keeping him remarkably energetic and mentally agile well into his extraordinary old age. Consider Helen, who's now 68. For decades, she lived by the finish everything mantra she was taught as a child. But as the years passed, she started noticing a pattern: feeling heavy and lethargic after meals, struggling with restless nights, and an overall lack of daytime pep. Then she discovered hara hachibu. She began to incorporate a simple pause into her mealtimes, asking herself, am I truly still hungry, or am I just eating out of habit? This one small, consistent habit transformed everything. She found herself with more sustained energy, enjoyed deeper, more restful sleep, and, perhaps surprisingly, found even greater enjoyment in her food. So I invite you to try this tonight. Approach your meal with a sense of calm, Slow down your bites, take a conscious breath between mouthfuls. When you sense you're about 70–80% full, just pause. You might be astounded at how satisfied and light you feel, because managing portion size is truly just the beginning of this journey. Next up, let's talk about what we're actually putting on our plates, specifically protein, and why Japan's favorite sauces might be a delightful surprise. A common misstep, especially as we age, is overlooking the incredible power of plant-based proteins, particularly beans and soy. Protein is undeniably a cornerstone nutrient for maintaining strength, facilitating healing, and aging with grace and vitality. But here's where a lot of us, particularly in Western countries, can take a wrong turn. We often equate protein almost exclusively with meat, steak, chicken, pork. However, if we look to Okinawa, a region renowned for some of the longest living people on the planet, their primary protein sources paint a very different picture. It's not vast quantities of animal protein. It's plants, with a special emphasis on soy in its various forms: tofu, miso, natto, and edamame. These aren't just occasional additions to their diet. They are fundamental everyday foods. Why is this distinction so crucial? Soy-based foods offer a complete plant protein profile, meaning they provide all the essential amino acids our bodies need. But beyond that, they are packed with beneficial compounds called isoflavones, which studies suggest play a significant role in lowering inflammation and supporting robust heart health. In fact, compelling research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has found that regular soy consumption is linked to lower levels of bad LDL cholesterol, stronger bones, and even enhanced brain health as we move through life. Dr. Hinohara, our centenarian doctor, made tofu a near-daily staple in his diet. He firmly believed it was instrumental in keeping his heart in excellent condition and his digestion running smoothly, even well into his 90s. Let's meet Frank, a 73-year-old retiree. For years, Frank actively avoided soy, having heard mixed and often confusing messages about its effects, particularly concerning hormones. He simply didn't want to take any chances. But after immersing himself in a documentary about Japan's centenarians, his curiosity was piqued, and he decided to give it an open-minded try. He started small, swapping out red meat for a simple tofu stir-fry with bok choy, garlic, and a hint of ginger just a couple of times a week. It was an easy, light, and surprisingly filling change. Within just 3 weeks, Frank noticed his blood pressure readings had improved, his joints felt noticeably less stiff, and for the first time in what felt like ages, he no longer needed that afternoon nap after lunch. The takeaway here isn't to abandon meat entirely if you enjoy it, but rather to embrace variety and consider incorporating more of these powerful plant-based options like beans, lentils, or tofu into your weekly routine. Now, let's shine a spotlight on one of Japan's most unassuming yet profoundly effective longevity secrets. It's not a flashy vitamin or an expensive, overhyped supplement. It's a time-honored tradition, something warm, gentle, and absolutely brimming with natural goodness: fermented foods. Dr. Shigeki Hinohara, that remarkable Japanese physician we've been learning from, began each and every day with a simple, comforting bowl of miso soup. For him, this wasn't merely a nostalgic comfort food, it was a non-negotiable part of his daily wellness ritual, a cornerstone of his long and healthy life. Think about it: miso, natto, fermented soybeans, traditionally pickled vegetables, even fermented seaweed. These aren't just occasional side dishes in Japan. They are integral, essential components of the Okinawan diet, and they are absolutely packed with benefits. These foods are teeming with live probiotics, the friendly bacteria that support a thriving gut microbiome. They contain natural enzymes that significantly aid in the breakdown and absorption of food, and they're rich in unique compounds that help to ease inflammation, thereby offering protection for your brain, joints, and immune system as you age. In the Western world, many people, especially seniors, often turn to probiotic capsules hoping to reap these benefits. But real, traditionally fermented foods offer so much more than just isolated strains of bacteria. They bring the synergistic power of whole foods, working in concert, a kind of natural, intelligent teamwork that manufactured supplements often struggle to replicate. Take Clara, for example, a 70-year-old former librarian. For years, Clara battled persistent bloating, irregular digestion, and that heavy, uncomfortable sensation that often followed her meals. She felt like she'd tried everything under the sun: fiber powders, enzyme pills, a whole array of different probiotic supplements. Frustratingly, nothing seemed to provide lasting relief. Then, a thoughtful friend gifted her a jar of authentic miso paste. Clara, inspired, decided to keep it incredibly simple. Every morning, she'd warm a cup of water, not boiling, just warm, and stir in a spoonful of miso. No drastic diet overhauls, no new pills. Within a mere 2 weeks, the difference was astounding. Her bloating had vanished, her energy levels felt more stable and consistent throughout the day, her appetite seemed more balanced, and those dreaded afternoon slumps became a thing of the past. The secret? Live, active bacteria delivered straight from natural whole food, not from a bottle. You can easily incorporate this too. Start small. Add a spoonful of quality miso to warm water, or enjoy a few slices of naturally fermented pickles with your meal. It's not just about nurturing your gut. It's about fostering a profound sense of balance and well-being as you age. Let's be completely honest. In many Western dietary circles, carbohydrates have been unfairly demonized, blamed for just about every health woe imaginable. We hear it constantly: cut carbs to lose weight, or seniors should steer clear of starchy foods. But here's a crucial truth that often gets lost in the noise. Not all carbs are created equal, and some carbohydrates, like the ones consumed daily in Okinawa, might actually be powerful allies in your quest for a longer, healthier life. A prime example is the Japanese purple sweet potato. These aren't just visually stunning with their vibrant hue, they are nutritional powerhouses, absolutely packed with potent, health-promoting nutrients. In fact, for many Okinawan centenarians, sweet potatoes astonishingly make up over 60% of their daily caloric intake. So what makes these tubers so incredibly special? Firstly, they are exceptionally rich in anthocyanins, which are potent antioxidants renowned for their ability to protect your blood vessels and help slow down the cellular aging process. Secondly, they are high in dietary fiber, which plays a critical role in steadying blood sugar levels and keeping your digestive system regular and happy. Thirdly, they're brimming with potassium and vitamin C, both of which are absolutely essential for maintaining a healthy heart and a robust immune system. And perhaps most importantly for sustained energy, they boast a low glycemic index, meaning they provide a steady, reliable source of fuel without those dreaded energy crashes and sugar cravings that often follow refined carbohydrate consumption. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara himself often chose sweet potatoes over white rice, believing they were gentler on the body and offered a greater density of protective nutrients for long-term health. And modern science wholeheartedly backs this traditional wisdom. Extensive research from leading institutions like the National Institutes of Health has demonstrated that anthocyanin-rich foods, such as these remarkable purple sweet potatoes, are significantly linked to improved blood flow, reduced inflammation throughout the body, and even a slower rate of age-related mental decline. Now let's consider Paul. At 69, Paul was pre-diabetic and constantly battling fatigue. In an attempt to improve his health, he drastically cut out nearly all carbohydrates from his diet. However, instead of feeling better, he found himself feeling even more drained and plagued by persistent sugar cravings. Concerned, his dietitian encouraged him to try something remarkably simple: incorporating steamed Japanese sweet potatoes into his meals. Not fried, not loaded with sugary or fatty toppings, just clean, nourishing, and whole. Paul began by adding just half a cup to his lunch each day. Within 2 short weeks, the results were striking. His energy levels lasted longer, those intense cravings began to ease, and his blood sugar readings became more stable and consistent than they had been in months. The powerful takeaway here is that you don't need to fear carbohydrates. You simply need to choose the right ones, the wholesome, nutrient-dense varieties, just like the long-living people of Japan do. Now, for the final and perhaps most profound lesson from Japan's longest living doctor. And it's something that transcends the food on your plate. There's an element most people miss in their pursuit of health, something arguably even more powerful than what you eat. It's the rhythm of how you live your life. Didn't adhere to punishingly strict diets, nor did he obsessively count every calorie. Instead, he followed a flow, a gentle, joyful rhythm that provided structure to his days and brought a deep sense of peace to his mind. Each morning for him began with a comforting ritual, a warm cup of miso soup, a mindful walk, some quiet time for reading. He naturally avoided overeating, not through sheer willpower, but out of a deep respect for how his body felt, listening to its subtle cues. He made a point to take the stairs, even well into his 90s, keeping his body active in simple ways. He remained endlessly curious, constantly learning, giving talks and writing books. And most importantly, he smiled, often and genuinely. One of his most cherished and frequently quoted beliefs was, "To stay young, you must have fun." Consider Marie. At 71, Marie used to be consumed by labels, low carb, sugar-free, fat-free. This constant vigilance left her feeling stressed, anxious, and perpetually second-guessing every meal choice. It was exhausting. Then, she read about Dr. Hinohara's philosophy. She didn't overhaul her entire life overnight. Instead, she started making small, meaningful changes. She incorporated a short, pleasant walk into her morning routine. She began to eat her meals more slowly, savoring each bite. She introduced an afternoon tea ritual, not for the tea itself, but simply as a moment to pause, breathe, and reset. She even planted a few herbs on her windowsill, finding joy in watching them grow. This adoption of a gentle, mindful rhythm fundamentally changed her entire outlook on life and health. Because true, holistic health isn't just about the physical. It's deeply emotional, mental, and profoundly rhythmic. So, as you reflect on all the wisdom we've shared today, remember this. Don't just count your protein intake, count your peaceful mornings. Don't just focus on reducing sugar. Actively add more laughter and joy to your days. Don't just try to fix your diet. Aim to nourish your spirit. If you're wondering where to possibly begin with all this, start simple. Start with something small that genuinely brings you joy. Start, perhaps, like the remarkable doctor who lived to 105 and smiled his way through a long, fulfilling life. Let's take a moment to bring all these incredible insights together. Remember, these aren't rigid, unforgiving rules. They are gentle, sustainable habits, beautifully practiced by some of the longest living and most vibrant people on our planet, all inspired by a man who lived with extraordinary grace, simplicity, and an infectious joy for life. Here are 5 small, manageable changes you can begin to weave into your life, starting today. Eat until you're 80% full. This simple act supports better digestion, boosts your energy, and contributes significantly to long-term health. Practice pausing before you feel completely stuffed. Add more plant-based proteins. Think tofu, lentils, edamame. These are gentle on your system, packed with nutrients, and wonderfully simple to prepare. Include fermented foods daily, a spoonful of miso in warm water, a few slices of traditionally pickled veggies. These introduce beneficial bacteria to your gut and help bolster your immunity. Choose smart carbs. Embrace wholesome options like sweet potatoes. They provide steady, reliable fuel, not those jarring sugar crashes. Embrace the rhythm. Eat light, live light, smile often, and above all, honor your own unique rhythm. Life doesn't need to be a frantic rush. There's immense power in quiet mornings, slow, mindful meals, and genuinely meaningful moments. Each of these steps, however small they may seem, works synergistically to support your heart, your mind, your digestion, and your precious independence. And the most wonderful part, you don't have to implement everything all at once. Just start with one mindful bite, one new habit, one quiet moment of pause. Which of these resonates most deeply with you today? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Your small shift might just be the inspiration someone else watching needs to begin their own journey. And now, as promised, here's something special from my kitchen to yours. A gentle morning drink that I personally enjoy and often recommend to my loved ones. This warm, nourishing tonic beautifully blends ancient wisdom with modern understanding and pairs perfectly with the simple, life-enhancing habits we've explored today. It all starts with miso, that incredible fermented soybean paste that has been a cornerstone in Japanese kitchens for centuries. Miso is wonderfully rich in probiotics, those friendly gut bacteria that support digestive health, aid in nutrient absorption, and can even give your immune system a significant boost. Scientific studies have consistently shown that regularly consuming fermented foods like miso can help reduce inflammation and improve the diversity of your microbiome, both absolutely key factors for healthy aging. Next, we add a splash of fresh lemon juice. This not only brightens the flavor but also gently stimulates digestion, provides a welcome dose of vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant, and supports your liver in its natural detoxification processes. A small pinch of turmeric brings its potent anti-inflammatory power to the mix, thanks to its active compound, curcumin. Curcumin is being extensively studied for its potential role in reducing joint pain, supporting brain health, and offering overall protective benefits. Finally, a delicate touch of raw honey or a few drops of stevia can be added to balance the flavors and bring a little extra joy to your taste buds, though this is entirely optional. For me, it's a simple, comforting way to care for my gut, my joints, and my immune system all in one quiet, mindful cup. Here's what you'll need. 1 cup of warm water, not boiling. 1 teaspoon of organic miso paste. Look for unpasteurized if possible to retain all those beneficial life cultures. A pinch of ground turmeric. The juice of half a lemon. Optional, half a teaspoon of raw honey or a few drops of stevia to taste. And here's how to prepare it. Gently warm your water. It should be pleasantly warm, not hot, just enough to dissolve the ingredients without harming the beneficial bacteria in the miso. Think about body temperature. In your favorite mug, add the miso paste and stir until it's fully dissolved into the warm water. Add the lemon juice, turmeric, and sweetener if you're using it. Stir gently once more. Enjoy this nourishing tonic first thing in the morning, perhaps before breakfast, or right after a light stretch or a peaceful walk. It's a wonderfully gentle way to awaken your body, hydrate your system, and set a positive, healthy tone for the rest of your day. I hope you love it as much as I do.